welcome to this SUPboarder video where we're going to be teaching you how to get barreled on your SUP. Now, there is so much to cover when getting tube on your SUP, but in this video we're going to be covering just the basics of getting barreled. We're going to be giving you our top tips. We're going to be showing you the correct body pin position you need to be using when you are riding in the barrel, and also how you can safely exit the tube and wipe out. Plus, we're going to be giving you the secret to good barrel riding, so make sure you do stick around for that. And if you want to take your tube riding to the next level, then make sure you check out the extended video after this on SUPboarder Pro, where we dive into wave selection and also the entry styles that you can get into the tube. SUPboarder Pro is our subscription service. It's less than £4 a month and can be less than £40 per year as well if you sign up for the year. So make sure you do sign up to be able to access that extended content. Firstly, I'm not claiming personally to be a barrel riding expert. There are far better stand-up paddle surfers out there that can get deeper in the barrel than I can. But I am a coach and I do know the techniques you need to use to be able to get in the barrel, ride it safely, and exit as well. So we are going to be covering all of those techniques and hopefully improving or getting you shacked off your brain. So you've probably already heard me say a few different terms about getting barreled, and that's right, there are so many different words out there for it. Getting barreled, tubed, shacked, pitted, whatever you want to call it, we are going to be referring to all of those terms throughout the video. So if you do hear me go off on a bit of a tangent with some words, you now know what they mean. So let's start learning about tube riding. Now, before we even think about it, there is one thing that we really need to consider, and that is our equipment. Now, SUPs in their nature, they're wide boards, they're quite long. That means that you're going to need quite a big barrel to be able to fit your board and yourself in when you are tube riding. So we need to keep that in mind, that the boards are big. You can go narrower, and the narrower board is definitely going to help fit inside the tube. The wider the board, the wider the barrel that it needs to be. So generally speaking, you really want to be going out on days that are around that head high in height or bigger. So beginning to picture yourself getting tubed or getting barreled, there's one element that we really need, and that comes from within ourselves to be able to pull into a tube, and that is commitment. You really need to be committed when you are going for a barrel on your SUP. If you are hesitant when you do paddle into the wave or when you do go for the barrel, it probably means that you're going to end up wiping out. You really need to be solid on your feet. You need to just be going for it, that 100% commitment. So let's take a look at the position for our forehand or front side barrel riding. Now, what we need to be thinking about is our feet position and where they need to be on the board. When we're doing a turn, when I'm doing a turn personally, I like to have my back foot right above the fins there, right on that back tail pad. My front foot is just the tail side of the handle, so just below the handle. Now, for barrel riding, what we do is we actually want to bring our feet quite far up the board, and our front foot is right at the front of that deck pad, and our back foot is pretty much in between the handle and that back tail pad there. The reason we do this is so we get speed the whole time throughout the barrel. We want to make sure that we want to get out of that barrel, so the more forward we are on our board, the more speed we can get. Now, the next step to think about is your rail engagement. Now, we are doing a front hand barrel, so the wave's in front of me here. I'm surfing this way. What we need to do is create inside rail engagement on that inside rail. So what happens is our back foot is actually going to come across quite a fair way toward the rail. You can see my back foot is pretty much toes nearly on that rail. That's going to really lock in the board to the wave face. It's going to engage that back fin into the wave face as well, and it's going to give us a lot of hold. If we're standing back here, or if we're on the other side of the rail, the board is going to go up into the wave face. We're going to be going up, or it's going to catch rail on the other side. All those fins aren't going to engage enough for us to be able to get out of the barrel. So, back foot a little bit across to the side. Your front foot can come across a little bit too, but it's nice to have that in the middle. Working up the body, knees. Knees definitely need to be bent. The lower we are, the more balance we're going to have in that tube ride, and we can fit into smaller barrels as well. You stand tall, you're going to fall, okay? Knees bent when you are in the barrel the whole time. A little trick we can do is we can actually bring in that back knee as well. So If you're in a bit of a wider stance, it's going to give you that more stability as well. You can actually bend that back knee in and you can get nice and low in that tube as well. So the lower we are or the more we bring in that knee, the more compressed we can get, and that way we're going to fit into smaller and smaller barrels. So from this position, we need to think about our arms and what we are doing with the paddle as well. Now, where you are going in the barrel really depends on where you're looking, but also where your chest is pointing, and also that your hands are leading the way as well. And that makes it 10 times harder when you do have the paddle in your hand. So what we like to do is we have obviously a normal paddle stance and a hold like this, but we are directing with that front arm, and we are actually pulling that paddle nice and close to our chest. Remember, we're trying to tuck into the tube here. If we have our paddle out far away from us, chances are it's going to get caught in the white water behind it or in the lip. It's going to get thrown over, and we're going to get thrown over as well. So bring it into your chest, be in that barrel stance like this. This is our best chance of making it, getting in, and getting out of the barrel. Now, one thing I just want to go back on is why you bend from your knees. Bending from the knees, it can give us that up and down, really great balance. Far too many people, they bend at the waist. Our head is the heaviest part of our body. As soon as we bend at the waist, we're throwing our head over the rail of the board and we're just going to fall off straight away. So never ever bend at your waist. Always bend with your knees. Bringing that paddle in nice and close to your chest. This is our barrel stance like this. So riding backside, this is where things get a little bit more tricky because we need to be holding on to the paddle as well. If you've got a really nice big open barrel, great. You're still going to be following the basics. Fit a bit further forward on the board. You want that rail engagement. So remember, now the wave's behind me. The wall is now the barrel. Want that heel over toward that inside rail of the barrel. We want to be nice and low with our knees, holding that paddle in nice and close as well, and always making sure we're looking where we want to go and leading with our arms and with our chest as well. But sometimes the barrel is not that big, and sometimes you don't want to be surfing that big a wave. So we need to use a different technique, and this is where things get a little bit tricky. So when we are backhand tube riding, the best thing to do is to go into a pig dog stance. Now what that means is you're bringing that back knee right down. You are letting go of the paddle with your back hand. You're grabbing the rail with that back hand, and your paddle is now between your hand and your body, just dragging in the wave face behind you. And this is our pig dog stance. So we can grab that rail, we can lean right in to that tube if we need to. We can pull up the board if we need to go up the face. We can make sure we lean further forward if we need to start going down and exiting that tube. But this is our backhand tube riding stance. Really interesting to watch Keahi ride a barrel on his backhand here. A couple of great tips as well is to make sure you keep your chest nice and high and your head high as well. If your chest goes too close to your knee or points down toward the wave, you are going to move down that wave toward the lip. That paddle, it is very tricky. You can see Keahi here. He opts to hold the paddle in front, but it does get caught in the wave. So it's really a personal preference where you want your paddle to be. But I've found that this technique is usually the easiest and the best way for backside tube riding. So now, what is the secret to good barrel riding? Well, it's where you look. Once you're in the barrel, in your tube stance, wow, what a view. It's just tempting to look out, admire the view, but looking out means that we are slowly moving down the wave face toward the breaking lip, and we want to make sure we stay high on the face in order to make it out. The secret is we need to be looking at the top corner of the barrel or the lip when tube riding. This way, we continually move up the wave face, and we also can see what the wave is doing so we can react to any changes if necessary. Those changes might be to stall, so we're staying for longer if we're getting too close to the exit, or speeding up by leaning forward or on the inside rail if we are getting too deep. Exiting the tube is another important factor in tube riding. You need to make sure you are watching that top corner of the lip to see what the wave is doing. And if it's backing off a little bit, you may need to ride higher on the wave because it is going to pinch or shut just like this wave. But you can see as Keahi goes up the face and rides a little bit higher, he is able to make it out of that barrel. The best barrels are when you do ride out cleanly, but remember, you need to flow with the wave and don't try to fight it. And the biggest tip for riding barrels and exiting them as well, do not close your eyes when you're in there. Well, I've seen definitely a few people closing their eyes in the tube and they are starting to learn. Keep them open, enjoy the view, or maybe look in that top corner so you are going to make it out. Wiping out or falling off must be done safely, and the safest way to do that is to just get as far away from your board as possible by diving or jumping away. Always be prepared to hit the eject button if you need to, because if you fall awkwardly, the board is going to get caught in that wave face and go up and over you in the lip. Like we said, it's best to try and dive or jump into the wave and try and cover your head when you fall, obviously keeping in mind that you're also holding onto the paddle. With these barrel tips, we hope it's going to start you off on your barrel riding journey. We really hope that you learned a lot in this video. Remember, we have a lot more insights in our SUPboarder Pro video, and you can sign up for SUPboarder Pro. And if you're a member, awesome. Make sure you go and check that video out because it's going to improve your barrel riding on your SUP exponentially. We want to thank you very much for tuning into this SUPboarder video, and if you have any comments, questions, please leave them in the comment section below. We'll happily get back to you. Thanks for tuning in.